Anybody that's kept up with me in it all knows I got more than a whole mouthful of words about Bill Monroe out there. He was an extraordinary, extraordinary musical talent. And I mentioned this in the 100-Day Challenge before, but I thought I'd bring out today a little bit of what I saw of him as a showman and how he laid out his musical performance a lot like a legitimate concert at times for folks. And this is, you know, he had carried a show before, had a tent show out there that he carried on the road that Don and Phil Everly got one of their first jobs working in Bill Monroe's tent shows when they were going on. You know, at times he carried comedians, at times he carried a baseball team on the road with him to play local teams, you know, to drum up business for musical programs. But when I worked for him, he had become an institution and he was into doing sort of just musical concerts. That was all it was. We didn't have a comedian as such. It was comical trying to listen to some of us try to play with him because, you know, that was an extremely challenging thing to do. He was brilliant. But anyhow, I'd mentioned in that 100-Day Challenge about him as a showman, about he would set up in the first 15, 20 minutes of our program by featuring certain things. You know, we would start off with Sweet Blue-Eyed Darling as an up-tempo trio, and that'd sort of get a little bit of life out there in the audience. And then he'd bring Wayne Lewis on, or whoever's guitar player may have been, Tom Ewing later on, and they would do a solo. Then the banjo would do a solo. Then he would do a couple of solo numbers himself and maybe play an instrumental. And at that point, we would generally do a gospel song, and then Kenny Baker would play one. He'd have the fiddle play one. Well, out of that first 15, 20 minutes there that's going on, he judged by what got the biggest audience reaction. Like if we were doing, working on a building or something like that, one of the gospel songs, and it got a big hand, you could bet, and later on in the program, we were going to do 2 or 3 gospel numbers back to back. If Kenny Baker got a big hand on whatever he played there was going to be at least another instrumental. Same thing for me. If I got something big going on, my #1 tune in Bluegrass Breakdown, there's a good chance that later on in the program I'd get to play something like Crossing the Cumberlands or something that had, you know, more thought to it than just a drive it up a wall type thing. But I'm going to play you a tune, or try to today. I've got an oddball tuning on the Tim Davis Banjo today. I've got a lowered bass, and I've never really played this song or this melody to this song with a lowered bass before. But this is one that Wayne Lewis used to feature a lot. And I can remember as far back as when I first started seeing Bill live with Peter Rowan used to do this song as a solo too back in those days. So I think it was one that he picked out for all of his lead singers to get sharpened up on. Anyhow, here's one called Dark Hollow.